like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.
Yeah, really nice to meet you, Sami. For those of us who haven't had the pleasure of hearing your music, can you give me an elevator pitch on your sound and musical style?
Sure. I write in all styles of rock music. I do subgenres of rock. I go from hard rock, alternative rock, folk rock, and even singer-songwriter, acoustic, and guitar. So my show is kind of a roller coaster of rock and roll, everything from, Beatles style-esque music to bands like Oasis, Goo Goo Dolls, to heavy rock like the Foo Fighters and Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. So yeah, I'm heavily influenced by the 50s, 60s, and the 90s. I love everything rock and roll, and my favorite singer in the world is Chris Cornell.
Awesome.
Always. I started a band in Seattle when I was in 2000. I moved from Florida and started a band in Seattle named Blue Helix, and we got a pretty strong following out here in the Pacific Northwest. Won a battle of the bands and won a competition in Brazil that took us to tour there in 2017. But I wanted to continue traveling and seeing and playing in other countries. So that's when I went in 2019. I went solo and I started doing shows in India, the Philippines, Cambodia, many shows in Brazil. And I ended up, because the band wasn't able to continue on, as a solo artist, I was able to hire musicians everywhere I went. And for you musicians out there, I just so you guys understand how the process, it was difficult in the sense of teaching people the songs. So up until about a year ago, I created professional online tabs for bass drums, guitar, for my music, so other musicians could learn the songs and kind of streamline the process of rehearsals for international shows. But yeah, since 2019, I have been doing. I have been a solo artist. Sami Chohfi is based. So if you come to a Sami Chohfi show, you're seeing a rock band. And
awesome. So it's not Blue Helix. That was in the past.
Yeah, Blue Helix was in the past. I'm actually doing a reunion show for Blue Helix this March 2023 for the fans here in the Pacific Northwest as a thank you. And you're not forgotten. But the show is essentially the same as my set. The only difference is a couple of the Blue Helix songs I add in there. It's got the original Blue Helix members. The album Blue Helix did called Antisocial Butterfly. I wrote that in 2017. I actually re-recorded all those songs. I pulled that record from online streaming and I'm re-recording them, and I'm already halfway through. I've already released two of them. I think you've heard one of them, Antisocial Butterfly, and Anodyne. So those two songs. But as after this awesome interview, I'm going to be continuing on with the other couple ones.
Awesome. So, what do you think of Seattle versus where you were living in Florida?
Oh man, Florida I hated. I got to tell you, there's a lot of racism. I grew up in South Florida and went to a school called the Magnet School. And I experienced a lot of racism. I got beat up a lot and bullied a lot, and it helped me get out of Florida pretty quick after I graduated. That's when I decided to come up to Seattle. Unfortunately, I was born in 1982, so I didn't learn guitar until 1996. And by the time I graduated and came out to Washington State, there was no longer a music scene. So it took me many, many years to find a band while I was out here in Seattle.
Right. Well, there's still a music scene. It's just not what it was. I mean,
that's correct. I'm referring to the famous grunge rock scene.
Right. Yeah. The one that bloomed from 1989 till about 95.
Exactly.
So, with all those bands, obviously, Soundgarden,
Nirvana,
of course. Yeah. Even though they're from Aberdeen, but
the Northwest. No, but yeah, I mean, there is definitely a music scene in Seattle. It's just not what it was, in the sense of like, it's not easy to find a band, for one, anywhere you go. My sister lives in Colorado. She has a rock band, and He told me if it's easy if you have a cover band, but to find a band, members for original projects are not easy, no matter where you are in the U.S.
Yeah, yeah. I'm down in Vancouver, Washington, so I'm just across the river from Portland, and yeah, there's tons of musicians, but the music scene here isn't what it was, because here in like the early '80s, it was a really big heavy metal scene,
Yeah.
and and that there's still a lot of heavy metal fans. Like, you can go see a band at like the Hawthorne Theater, which maybe holds about 400 or 500 people. Um, and I saw Dragon Force there the same night Priest was in town, and it was still packed. It's still packed. So there's fans out there, but that there's not. We don't seem to get a lot of the big bands on the tours anymore. A lot of them are kind of bypassing us. Fortunately, we've got, for heavy metal bands, Iron Maiden is coming here this fall, and of course you've got classic rock bands like Heart, Cheap Trick. They're also coming. So.
Mhm.
But I don't know if Judas Priest is going to make it. They've been here the last couple tours, but
A lot of the bands I listen to skip Seattle for some reason.
yeah. And I'm into a lot of European bands, and it's really hard for them, I guess, to travel over here. And there was a bunch like Primal Fear that were supposed to come, and then COVID hit, and then it was like, crazy. But yeah, there's a couple cool clubs up there. Saw Halloween up there once at El Corazon, if you can imagine that. Have you been to that club?
I play there.
Yeah. So if you can imagine Halloween there, who like had just played in Rio to like 200,000 people.
Yeah.
And then they played at El Corazon. So the cool thing is I was like this far away, from the
No,
whole band.
I saw the Toadies there actually.
Yeah.
At El Corazon. So no, it's amazing. Like you can go and see a band in Brazil perform in front of 100,000 people, like Placebo.
Yeah.
And then come here and they're playing, in front of 800.
Yeah, or 300. So that's great. So I was gonna say, you do have a connection with Brazil. Can you talk a little bit more about the shows down there and what that means to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm half Brazilian. My father was Brazilian. I started going to Brazil at a young age to visit my family, and I always dreamed of being able to perform out there as a teenager. So I ended up marrying a beautiful Brazilian girl named Renata, and she was actually the first girl I ever loved. To be honest, I proclaimed my love to her at 14 years old, Bryce. It was crazy. She was 19. I was 14. I had told her I loved her. Love at first sight, and she was really sweet about it. Obviously, she wasn't hip to the idea, but as life is a maze, right? And we kind of find ourselves on the other side of destiny. Sometimes we, in 2014, we reconnected in Brazil, and we got married in 2015, and
awesome.
And then around 2017 was my first tour with Blue Helix to Brazil. After we won a competition against a couple thousand bands that entered. It was actually, we were very fortunate with our song and music video called Aliens. And then after that, I just my connection with Brazil grew. I started getting radio play out there and I was doing performing my music with a cover band out there named Mr. Legacy. They do all covers from 70s to present. And they would welcome me as an opener, and they would be my band. And I did multiple tours out there with them. And then till it kind of just, evolved into me going out there and doing my own thing, playing my originals. And I have a fan base out there, as I do here in the Pacific Northwest. But yeah, I've been very, very fortunate out there in Brazil. I'm actually planning to go back there this year. It's just right now, this is the time of year where things aren't really happening. People just had this celebration called Carnival in Brazil. So the whole country shuts down for a good month.
Or just to recover?
Yeah, well, it's kind of, they prep for it, right, in February, and then they're kind of getting back into the grind in March, like mid-March. So it's a process.
Awesome. So I was going to say, you have a great video for your song "Complicated." And my first thoughts was it reminded me of a heavy metal Weird Al.
That's funny.
Can you talk a little bit about that song and making the video?
Yeah, Complicated is kind of like a 1950s, 60s doo-wop inspired blend of like 90s Weezer and Smashing Pumpkins, those kind of I just wanted to make a funny song about complicated relationships that we all have gone through, and inspired by friends of mine who have really difficult women. And we wanted to make a comedy in the style of black and white Charlie Chaplin, where it has this, like those little things on the screen where it talks about, it has like the words, they
Right.
describe what used to do in the Chaplin films,
like a silent film.
yeah, like the silent film. And so we just blended all the comedy aspects that we could from the vintage ideas, and yeah, we just made a very funny music video. I'm super proud of it.
Yeah, it came out really great. I loved it. So you were talking about doing more recording. Is there a full-length album in the works that we can see in the future?
I have been doing I've been releasing singles every couple months for the last couple years. I did a full-length record, Extraordinary World, that I wrote across 6 countries over the span of 2 years, kind of prior pandemic into pandemic. And actually filmed the videos for that album in India and Japan, Armenia, France. So while I was playing shows and traveling with my wife, we did the filming. We got footage for some of these videos, and I did that full-length record, Extraordinary World, in 2020. Since then, I've just been launching singles, and I decided to do that because of my radio campaign that I was doing in Brazil since 2021 all the way until now, where they insisted that the best form of action for you to kind of get your music, going and get people familiar is releasing songs every 3 months, 2 to 3 months. So
yeah,
I really have an opportunity to hold it in your back for an album. So kind of gotten in the flow of that. I do plan on getting a record ready, but I have singles just kind of ready to pop out. So
yeah, I've got a friend of mine is singer for a band called Immortal Guardian. His name's Carlos Zima, and he is from Brazil. And that's their strategy completely, is to just keep a video going every couple months.
Exactly.
And by the time their album came out, 8 out of 10 songs were already released as singles, because you drop a record and it gets this press and then nothing happens for a year or 2 years. You know what I mean? But if you got a single coming out every couple months, you got to stay in people's mind. You know what I mean? And stay on their radar, right?
That's exactly why I do it, Bryce. That's exactly why I do it. I don't, after I released that, when I was releasing albums with Blue Helix, so often I'd release a single or two off that album, and then I release another single off that album. Oh, where can I find that single? It's on the album. So that happened with Antisocial Butterfly quite often. So that's why I decided just to launch these singles. It gives you more focus too, you can really hone in on those songs specifically, and it's been a very good situation for me. I don't know if you know, but I did a couple of tours in India, a festival out there called the International Independent Music Festival. And
that sounds fun.
It was a lot of fun. There's actually on YouTube, there's video of 2 songs I have filmed, Extraordinary World and Sing You to Me. And you can, and I got to tell you that experience just right there, inspired me just to continue launching live videos every month, like have everything ready to go, have everything edited and, put everything, do all the work at once, have 7 or 8 live videos ready to fly from whatever tour or whatever set of shows. Every 2-3 weeks, release a new one. It constantly shows activity. It constantly gets people engaged and interested. And as being an artist, it's hard to capture people's attention and to have that engagement constantly. So, I try to make sure that any kind of not only songs that I release or videos that I release, I try to keep it interesting. It's not the same thing every time. Even with the songs, I'll do 2 or 3 hard rock releases, then I'll launch a couple ballads, even a piano, vocal, cello ballad, you know?
Yeah,
So,
that's sweet. That's sweet. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, Andy Warhol said 15 minutes of fame, but these days it's more like 60 seconds of fame
Well, you
because
only have that much
people
attention.
have people's attention spans. You post a bunch of videos and then you look at your stats and then you see you get your playthroughs, but then you get a bunch of like 20 seconds and 30-second plays and all this to where people they can't even stay focused on anything that long. So putting out like a whole album and dropping it and then nothing for another year if you're lucky. But I mean that it worked for the Beatles, right? I mean that they had singles coming out constantly that weren't even on their albums. So
a different time though, right? People were listening, you know, Pink Floyd and all those bands coming out in that time frame could release 9-10 minute songs.
Yeah.
And people were engaged from start to finish. You know, you understand why everything's changed though. I mean, technology is with everything, you know, our attention spans are not only so short that there are songs on TikTok that have more streams and downloads that are 2 minutes long.
Yeah.
Than, you know, songs that you and I grew up listening to, you know?
Right.
So.
Right. But a lot of those great Beatles hits are 2 minutes long.
That's true.
2 minutes, 21 seconds. Like Creedence Clearwater, a lot of their biggest hits are definitely under 3 minutes, you know. Yeah. And so I think in some ways it's going back to that. But yeah, and even on YouTube videos, YouTube shorts that are 30 seconds, you get a ton of views. Right. Yeah. Because people only have to invest 30 seconds before they're on to their next thing and getting a cup of coffee or whatever they're doing.
So. That is true. You mentioned the Beatles. What's your favorite Beatles record?
Rubber Soul.
Cool.
So just great songs on there. It was before they went super into all this different production stuff. Yeah. Still kind of an album as a band, you know what I mean? But I mean, I like all their stuff. So
do you hear the influence in Complicated?
Not exactly, but I mean, you've got a lot of things going, and I just really like it. I like that song because it's very vocal driven, but it's also very punchy, you know, and great song. So, what else was I going to ask you? What else does 2024 have in store for Sami?
Well, brother, I'm always got my ear to the grind. You know, I miss going and playing in the Philippines and India. I want to do that again. I'm hoping those opportunities arise. I definitely will be trying to go to Brazil. Right now I'm in a competition to play Lollapalooza in Brazil.
Oh, great.
Hard. You know, the first step is votes. So I had my fan base vote. And then the bands with the top 50 votes go to the judging round, and then they pick one. So if I win, I'll be there March 22nd, opening Lollapalooza if I win. So,
amazing.
We'll see. I don't know. You know, I was surprised. I'm surprised with anything these days. You know, if you get there's so much music and bands for people to choose from.
Yeah, more than ever.
Yeah, I mean, there's over what I think if you Google it, they say there's 100,000 releases on Spotify per day and something like 207,000 videos on YouTube per day, music related. You know, so man, it's easy. That's why you post something, and you know, it's hard to get those views. It's hard to get that platform. You know.
Yeah, I think you know that there's always been a lot of bands, but now they all can be heard, and so. It's just the floodgates are wide open. So it's like, you know, if you can be, what do they say, a big fish in a little pond, sometimes really helps because otherwise you're out there in the ocean. You know what I'm saying?
I do, absolutely. Like living, you know, having a band in LA is probably a lot harder than having a band in, you know, Spokane.
Spokane. That's a good example. Yeah, I don't know the music scene. I have friends up there, but yeah, I never thought of Spokane as hip. I have nothing against Spokane people. So, but that was just kind of funny to me. But is there anything that we missed that you wanted to cover, or any shout outs you want to give to anybody? And where's the best place to find your music?
Spotify, Apple, YouTube. I'm in all the same places everybody looks for their songs. You know, I distribute like normal. But I think the thing I'd like viewers to maybe go down the rabbit hole with is my music videos. I'm really
Mhm.
proud of the production and the storyline. A lot of my videos. I have videos that I filmed in India during Holi Festival called "Dirty Your Soul and This Majesty," where watching my music videos is almost like a trip to that place, but not the touristy version. It's my
Mhm.
personal experience with those places. Extraordinary World is a video where it was filmed across 2 years, where you can see all the people's faces that inspired my songwriting on that record
Very cool.
across all these countries, and videos like Little One, which was it's I love horror and I love The Walking Dead, and we had
Mhm.
a makeup artist for American Horror Story to do the zombie makeup on the bride, and it's a zombie love story. It's very funny, much like Complicated, hilarious. But I'm very proud of the music videos. I'd love for the viewers of the show to check out the music videos that I have on my channel, Sami Chohfi, on my YouTube channel. Uh,
Sweet.
but aside from that, I'd like to thank Jerry for introducing us.
Yeah.
As a
Great.
rock.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad Jerry asked me to hook up with you. So
Yeah, and I thank you for your time today, and giving my music yet again another platform for new listeners. I greatly appreciate that.
yeah.
So
That's fantastic. I just want to thank you for being my guest, Sammy. And so it's Sami Chohfi. Am I saying that right?
Sami
Okay.
Chohfi,
Yeah, you got great music, and it sounds like lots more to come. So people really need to check it out and check out the videos and
thank you.
subscribe to all those things.
Yeah, SamiChohfiMusic.com. All my socials are at Sami Chohfi Music. And yeah, it's if any of you guys if you guys hear my music from the show, please let me know. Drop me a line. Hello from MEC, and that would be great.
Awesome. Awesome. So thanks again.
If you like the content we bring you about the heavy metal world, please like, subscribe, and comment to help us grow the channel.